Welcome back to the show. We know why we're Catholic. Do you know why you're not? We ask that not rhetorically. Love to hear from you at 888-31-TRUTH. That's toll free, 1-888-318-7884. It's Catholic Answers Live. My name is Patrick Coffin. Our guest is Father John Trigilio. And we turn now to Shirley in San Antonio, Texas, listening on our great partner there, Guadalupe Radio, 89.7 FM. Hello, Shirley.
Hello.
Hey, Shirley. Good to have you. Welcome. You're on the air.
Thank you. I have a question, please, Patrick and Father. My parish priest and I had a conversation the other day about limbo, and I read somewhere or heard somewhere recently that we don't call it limbo anymore, but I didn't hear that we don't believe that anymore. And my priest tells me that we don't believe that unbaptized children go anywhere but to heaven. And he said, think about the holy martyrs that died for Jesus. We celebrate on December 28th, and the aborted babies, that's a form of martyrdom. So where could they go but to heaven? So I want to know when that changed, because I teach confirmation class, and I only want to teach truth.
Great question, Shirley.
Okay, that is a very good question. It's a very fair question. The word limbo does not appear anywhere in the Catechism of the Catholic Church that came out in 1992. It was never a dogma. It was a common teaching of the Church. It was a theological way of expressing a way of dealing with some truths, like, for instance, that baptism is necessary, but also how to deal with the fact that children who die before baptism have no actual sin on their soul. They only have original sin. So to balance out, the Church came up with this construct, which was common teaching, that there was limbo. Now, it's not fair to say that the Church automatically says they definitely go to heaven, but when you read in the Catechism, the Catholic Church, in I believe it's paragraph 1261, with children who do have died without baptism, it says the Church can only entrust them to the mercy of God, as she does in her funeral rites for them. It doesn't say de facto they go to heaven, but it doesn't exclude them, because there is those other teaching, that the universal salvific will of God, that God would want everyone to get to heaven through no fault of their own, doesn't reject him. So St. Augustine used terminology like God gives everyone sufficient grace. It becomes efficacious to those who cooperate with it. How do you handle an infant dying who doesn't yet have the ability to make these? I mean, he certainly has a free will, but his intellect is so primitive he doesn't have much to choose from. There could be what they call the baptism of desire, that they would have wanted baptism, they just died before they had a chance, or the desire of the parents, that they would have wanted the baby baptized before he or she was, after she was born, but they didn't have the chance. Definitely someone who dies for the faith, the holy innocents, they actually were killed because, Herod was after Jesus. The children who die in abortion, although they are murdered, they're not per se martyrs, okay, in that regard. But again, it would make sense that, their shedding of innocent blood, that's why the Church would not exclude them from possibly being baptized by blood. So it hasn't been settled de fide on what happens to the child who dies before baptism, but it's the use of the word limbo, that there's for all eternity a place where they will stay in natural happiness, which the Church had used as a common teaching, which you'll read in older theological books, in the Baltimore Catechism, all right, and that it was a natural place. They were always happy, but they didn't have the supernatural happiness because they didn't have the grace of baptism. Now we leave it, like the Catechism says, in the mercy of God, that it's possible that they could be have a baptism of desire, and that they would have that sufficient grace to be saved. So we leave it sort of open-ended, but leaning more towards that they're going to spend eternity with the Lord because it's through no fault of their own.
Does that make sense, Shirley?
It does. It really does. Thank you so much.
Thanks, and thanks for your good work, Shirley. Always nice to hear someone who cares enough about the truth to wait on hold for so long. Huh, Father?
Oh, I'm glad that's a good sign of a good religion teacher.
Yep.
That you want to know what the church actually says or doesn't say.
Yeah, amen. So we can be messengers and not editors, as
exactly
as Peter Crave says. All right, it's 16 minutes after the hour. Father John Trigilio is our guest on this hour number 2 Thursday Q&A open forum for everybody anywhere in the world asking anything about the Catholic Church. This is the show for you. Let's